Well, for July, we kind of talked about inventorying your deer, and we got a couple questions we wanted to go through.
We got John from Arkansas asking, I put my cameras up and none of my bucks showed up. Should I stick it out or look for a new area to hunt?
Well, these segments are so... No, don't leave. These segments are so short, so it's hard to cover it. We kind of mentioned about, not being too worried about where those deer are, and just, primarily trying to find if they're live. Depending on where you live, especially in the agricultural areas in the summer, those deer, they can be pretty nomadic. We've had bucks that we couldn't find them in June and July, and we were sure they were dead. And September 5th or September 6th rolled around, and they were right back where they were supposed to be. So, if you're missing a buck or missing a bunch of your deer, I would look for them. The first place to look for them is, just not going to top them out, and just go for the best looking egg that's closest to where you think that deer lives. That's probably where he is. But, keep looking for him. As the year goes on, or as the summer goes on, if you still can't find them, I might slow down on the amount of time I spend there and just keep kind of checking in on them, because, if you roll into August, September, and you still can't find him, there's a good chance maybe he's gone. But if you can't find him in July, don't. It's really nothing to worry about yet. Just keep looking, and even just move out a little bit. Just take your radius, spread it out a little bit, and just look on kind of the inside corners of the closest egg, and you'll probably find that buck.
Jeff from Ontario wants to know, how to identify a deer early in the year?
Yeah, it can be tough with some bucks. Even right now, we're looking at a couple bucks, and we're wondering, is that him? And it depends on the deer. Some deer have really distinguishing features. A notch in his ear, a rip in his ear. Their front legs are usually quite unique on the way the white patches are. Some deer have the white wraps all the way around their leg. Some it's lighter, some it's not quite as light. We notice that varies quite a bit, from buck to buck. But, mostly if you don't have a deer with a notch in his ear or, a really unique patch on him and you can't recognize them, then it's antler growth. The lucky thing is probably one of the easiest things to recognize on antler growth is the bases and that beading, any little stickers off the base and their brow tines. So you can usually get a pretty good idea pretty quick. If you think it's a certain buck, it probably is, so the first things you look for is the brow tines. As soon as the brow tines are growing, is there a curve? Do they lean back, to lean forward? They should be quite identifiable. And then as he grows, he's just going to be more identifiable. So physical characteristics like, notches in his ear, coloring on the deer himself, colors like the size and the shape of their throat patch. Some of our bucks, we get every now and then we get a buck with a double throat patch. He's easy to pick out. And then just horn growth as the summer goes on, as you start watching a certain buck, it starts to get pretty easy to identify him, even from a distance. Even when, it's this buck because he's got a big notch in his ear, you'll notice after you've watched that buck for a little while, you'll stop looking for the notch because you'll just recognize that it's that buck.
And I think lots of it comes to, I don't know this, but I think lots of it comes to from just watching the deer, being familiar with those deer in your area.
Yeah, it's like people. They probably think we all look alike too, and we've had some deer that are a little bit tricky, but usually when you start spending some time watching them, going through trail camera photos and really looking at the deer, it starts to kind of be pretty bright and brilliant on which buck is which, And for anybody that has questions, we'll get back to every single question. We can't answer every question here in the studio like this, but every question we get in, we do get back to them, and we'll discuss that, any kind of issues there and just give our opinions. We don't know. We're just learning as we go too, but we'll give our opinion. You can ask your questions through the Excalibur Facebook page, through their website, through our Facebook page or our website, or wherever you're watching this, anywhere that you're on social media that you've seen this segment pop up. If you've got a question, ask in the comments. Ty'll find it, and we will get back to you.